Discover the heartwarming moment when a stranger revealed a life-changing secret at a wedding. Jamie stood in her sister's bright, sunlit room, the excitement of the wedding day swirling around her, yet she couldn't shake the gnawing pit in her stomach. As she pulled the soft fabric of her simple navy dress over her head, the bitter familiarity of her own unfulfilled dreams whispered through her mind. At 34, a single mother with 2 little ones tugging at her heartstrings, it was hard not to feel like a shadow at this joyous celebration. Her sister was stepping into a fresh chapter, one filled with love, while Jamie wrestled with the heavy legacy of an absent father who had left scars deeper than she'd ever dared to admit. The weekend unfolded like a fairy tale, smiling faces, laughter, the clink of glasses. But Jamie's heart felt like a storm brewing inside her. Every shared moment between the bride and her father reminded Jamie of what she hadn't had, the twirls, the tender conversations, the essence of a father's love. Nearby, Mr. Thompson, their elderly neighbor, sat quietly watching, noticing the bittersweet thrum of emotions pulsating from Jamie. He had been privy to secrets long buried but never forgotten. As the joyous celebrations danced around her, Jamie's memories flared. Once, a young girl with wide eyes waiting for a dad who never came. Now, standing just yards away was the man who abandoned her, the man she hadn't spoken to in years. Jamie's chest tightened as she fought back tears, caught in a web of emotions too tangled to unravel. The warm sun painted everything in a golden hue while she felt lost in shadows. Before the reception kicked off, Mr. Thompson approached, his gait slow, but his eyes sharp with compassion. "Jamie, can we talk?" he asked simply. The weight of unspoken tension lingered in the air as they stepped away to a quieter corner. There, he revealed the truth about her father's past sacrifices made for his country, burdens carried alone that had driven him away. It was a story of redemption and loss, a complex tapestry woven from threads Jamie never knew existed. The revelation rattled her. The emotions surged, mixing bitterness with a yearning for understanding. As laughter echoed from the main hall and guests began to settle in for the festivities, Jamie grappled with turmoil. Could she hold fast to resentment or find the strength to forgive? She already had her hands full as a mother, trying so hard to shield her children from more heartache. With the traditional father-daughter dance fast approaching, Jamie felt as if time stood still. The wedding party stirred, smiles all around, and her father's eyes seeking hers across the crowded rooms weighed heavy on her heart. She wanted to step towards him, to close the chasm that had defined her life, yet the paradox of hope and pain warred inside her. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the music began, Jamie felt a powerful pull. Would she let this moment slip? Or would she confront her past head-on, risking everything for the hope of healing? Gathering her courage, her breath caught as their eyes locked. The moment hung heavy with unanswered questions, emotions crashing like waves. This was her chance, a crossroads where old wounds could begin to mend, but the weight of history loomed larger than she'd ever dared to believe. Would she step forward into the light, or would she retreat once again, letting love and understanding slip away? As the dance floor swirled with joy, Jamie felt the pull of her decision tightening around her heart. Ready to reshape their family narrative forever. The music flowed, sweet and slow, wrapping around the room like a warm embrace. Jamie's heart raced as she stood rooted to the spot, her mind a cacophony of thoughts. People danced, spun, and laughed, but all she could hear was the rhythm of her own heartbeat echoing in her ears. Her father's gaze was steady, unwavering, his expression a mixture of hope and fear. With every passing moment, the distance between them felt like miles. Jamie's feet finally moved, almost as if guided by a force greater than herself. She took a step towards him, the floor shifting beneath her as if the earth itself held its breath. Memories crashed over her like tidal waves, the birthday cakes he never baked, the scraped knees he never bandaged, the empty space at the dinner table that had grown larger over the years. "Jamie," he whispered, stepping forward to meet her. His voice broke the silence of their shared past, a bridge being built in that fleeting moment. She could finally see the lines on his face, the weight of regret there, etched deeply alongside a flicker of something else, remorse. "Hope." "Dad," she said, her voice quivering. Each word felt like a pebble tossed into a still pond, sending ripples of uncertainty through the air. The laughter from the reception swirled around them but felt a world away, leaving just the two of them in their own private bubble of raw emotion. That he opened his arms, a gesture that felt both inviting and terrifying. Jamie hesitated, the ghost of their past creeping into her thoughts. Could she reach out? Could she embrace the man who had hurt her so deeply? "Please, just a moment," he pleaded. As she stood there, staring at him, she felt that storm inside her swirl fiercely. Memories of her own children flickered through her mind. They were little, innocent, untouched by abandonment. She lived each day wishing to provide them the love she had missed. Could she truly forgive and move toward healing? Time snapped back into focus as the music shifted to an upbeat tune, laughter pulling at the edges of her heaviness. They were surrounded by celebration, but in this moment, she felt anything but joyful. "I just wished you had been there," she said, tears brimming in her eyes, the hurt cascading through her like a bitter river. "I don't know how to let that go." "I'm sorry," he replied, his voice breaking the silence as it wrapped around her heart. "I thought I could protect us by leaving. But I was wrong. I see that now." His words landed between them heavy and earnest. For the first time, she saw a glimmer of vulnerability in his eyes that mirrored her own pain. Maybe, just maybe, there was an opportunity here. Finally, as the dance floor pulsed with life, Jamie took a deep breath and stepped closer, her heart quaking as she allowed herself to inch into his open arms. The embrace was tentative at first, filled with the weight of years lost. She felt his warmth, the knot in her chest loosening slightly at the unexpected tenderness. That in this moment, surrounded by love and laughter, could they really begin to mend what was once shattered? But just then, a commotion erupted from a nearby table, pulling them from their moment. Jamie's eyes darted towards the sound. Her children were tumbling forward, laughter ringing out, but her vision blurred as emotions overwhelmed her. What if this moment of connection was merely the calm before another storm? Would she allow herself to embrace a new future, or would the past reach out and pull her back once more? The choice loomed before her, etched in every heartbeat. Jamie's breath caught in her throat as her eyes flicked to her children, who were now securely in the arms of a family friend, beaming from ear to ear. It was a mundane scene, yet it gnawed at her insides like a relentless wave. She glanced back at her father, who still stood there, arms outstretched, a hopeful look on his face. "Jamie, please," he urged softly, his voice threading through the chaos of the reception. In that moment, she found herself wrestling with a whirlwind of emotions. The laughter around her blended into a swirling haze. Here were her children, the embodiment of joy yet still unaware of the fractures in their mother's heart. And here was the man who had been absent for so long, still stretching his arms in an invitation she longed to accept, but couldn't quite trust. "Do you even know who I am anymore?" she challenged, her voice barely above a whisper. Her fists tightened at her sides, the unrelenting fear of the past flooding back. "You left us. You left me." His expression faltered, the flicker of hope dimming. "I know I made massive mistakes, Jamie. Please, I just need a chance to make it right." A flurry of movement caught her attention as her children darted across the dance floor, their tiny feet pattering in perfect synchronicity. The sight tugged at her heart. She wanted them to know love, to feel safe, to never doubt for a moment that they were cherished. Could she even begin to teach them that, torn as she was? "I wanted to keep you from pain, to shield you from the chaos," he continued, his words laden with an earnestness that struck her deep. "I was wrong to think leaving was the solution." An inexplicable part of her understood she too had tried to protect her children. But at what cost? As if sensing her turmoil, her youngest, Lily, appeared by her side, her little hand gripping Jamie's leg. "Mom! Can we dance?" Her eyes sparkled with innocence, unaware of the weight crushing her mother's heart. Seeing her daughter's joy snapped something inside Jamie. In that moment, she realized the truth was deeper than either of them had acknowledged. Offers of connection surrounded her like the music cascading through the room. It felt like an avalanche was beginning to build, and she was right at the brink. She looked back at her father, a storm of emotions swirling. The gracefulness of forgiveness battled hard against the jagged edges of resentment. "Let us dance," Jamie finally said, a soft lilt breaking through her hesitation. She extended her hand towards him, and he took it gently, a tentative step into the unknown. As they moved to the music, Jamie felt the past and the future collide in a mesmerizing whirl. It was not just the two of them in that moment, it was her children and all the love they could weave together if she allowed it. Suddenly, a familiar face broke through the crowd, a woman she hadn't seen in years, holding an envelope of sorts. As the woman approached, Jamie felt her heart race again. What news could this stranger bring that could change everything once more? And right then, at the center of the dance floor, uncertainty loomed, mingled with a fleeting glimmer of hope. Would this new revelation bring them closer together, or would it shatter the delicate threads being woven anew? The question echoed through Jamie's mind as the woman stepped closer, her expression a blend of urgency and understanding. The woman's smile was warm, but her eyes gleamed with an intensity that sent a chill down Jamie's spine. The envelope fluttered in her hand like a flag of impending change. Whatever was inside could reshape their fragile family dynamics in an instant. "Jamie," the woman began softly, her voice slicing through the music and chatter, "I hope I'm not interrupting." Jamie felt the world around her fade, sounds blurring into a distant hum. "What is it?" she managed to ask, her heart hammering against her ribs. "It's about your father," the woman said, glancing nervously at the man still holding Jamie's hand. "There is something you need to know. It's important." Her father tilted his head slightly, concern etched on his features. It was as if he sensed the shift in the air, the weight of unspoken truths. The woman took a deep breath, glancing down at the envelope before locking her gaze back on Jamie. "I was there when everything happened. The choices your father made, they were not entirely his own. There were circumstances." A wave of disbelief washed over Jamie. Was this a desperate attempt to justify his absence? She shook her head, her voice hardening. "What do you mean?" "I've watched him spiral," the woman continued, her tone sincere. "He tried to shield you and your brother from a truth far more complex than you realize." That letter. Jamie instinctively squeezed her father's hand tighter, a mix of anger and fear rising within her. "Let me see it," she demanded, cutting through the tension that had settled like a fog. "No." Her father interjected, panic lacing his voice. "Please don't," but the words died in his throat as Jamie's eyes blazed with questions. "Why should I trust you? Why should I trust him?" Her voice cracked with emotion, the pain of years tumbling out in a violent rush. "You want me to believe that everything will be okay? I have only known chaos." The laughter of her children, still dancing nearby, was a stark contrast to the tempest swirling around her. It struck her how easily joy could coexist with hurt, yet here she was, unwilling to let herself be pulled into the beauty of their youth. "Jamie, I love you," her father murmured, the words fragile but earnest, as if he was offering her the very essence of himself. "I need you to understand. Please, hear me out." The urgency in his voice made her heart ache. She wanted to feel that familial bond, to forgive, to let go. But the doubts thrashed within her, holding her firmly in place. With trembling hands, the woman extended the envelope toward Jamie. "You deserve to know the truth. But it's your choice to open it and to decide whether you want to face what's inside together." Jamie took a hesitant step forward, her fingertips brushing against the paper, the weight of a decision hanging heavy in the air. Could this lead to the healing she craved? Or was she merely unearthing more pain? As she opened the envelope, time seemed to stretch, the dance floor spinning around her in a blur. The moments echoed with a nervous anticipation, reflected in her children's laughter and the stolen glances between her and her father. What awaited her inside the envelope could redefine everything: the wounds and the love. As she peered inside, heart racing, the world hung in the balance. Would this revelation shatter the walls she built or help her weave them into something beautiful? The answer lingered just out of reach, leaving her breathless with both hope and dread. The paper crinkled softly between Jamie's fingers as she pulled the contents from the envelope, a wild mix of anticipation and dread stirring in her chest. With each silent breath she took, she could almost hear the whisper of memories long buried, surfaces about to be scratched. The crowd around her faded further, their laughter and chatter becoming a dull backdrop to the unfolding drama. She unfolded the letter slowly, the scent of aged paper filling her senses, but soon the words started to dance off the page and land like rocks in her stomach. The woman had written about events she could barely comprehend, yet felt woven into the very fabric of her life. Jamie's eyes scanned the lines, her heart racing with every revelation. Your father, she read, never wanted to leave you, but the circumstances created a storm. Her brow furrowed as she tried to piece together the words, a jigsaw she didn't know she needed to solve. There were names that loomed large, hints of long-hidden secrets that pricked at her. Who were these people? What did they have to do with her family's history? Her father's voice pulled her back. Jamie, look at me, he pleaded, holding a mix of fear and hope in his gaze. Please, talk to me. But Jamie was caught, suspended in the gravity of the truth she was unearthing. The reactions of her children became nothing more than echoes, their innocence a sharp contrast to the storm brewing in her mind. She glanced at them, their laughter a sound too pure for this moment of reckoning. As she read on, a pattern emerged. Her father had fought against shadows that threatened to consume him, burdens that he thought too heavy for her to bear. Perhaps he had loved her enough to shield her. But if this letter was true, it meant that every moment of hurt, every sleepless night, had a reason behind it that she had never known. Tears welled in her eyes, blinding her to the room around her. Could she ever forgive him for keeping this from her? The words were raw, exposing wounds she thought had long since healed. What does this mean? Jamie's voice trembled, each word laced with a deep-seated fear of the unknown. Was I just an afterthought in your decisions? No. Her father reached for her, desperation in his eyes. You were my everything. I tried to protect you from all of this. But it was my battle to fight, and I thought what? Jamie cut in, her anger boiling to the surface like lava. That I couldn't handle the truth. That I couldn't understand why my life felt like a shroud of lies. The woman stood back, watching the unfolding scene like a ghost, while Jamie's world tilted on its axis. Her father's expression shifted, the pain of years etched in the lines of his face. With shaking hands, Jamie crumpled the letter, forcing herself to breathe, hard, fast. What had she expected? Closure? Answers? Or was this just another layer of the chaos she was trying to escape? In the distance, she could hear her children call her name, but it felt so far away, like the happiness she craved was just out of reach. Where could they possibly go from here? As the air felt thick with unresolved feelings, Jamie realized this was only the beginning of a deeper reckoning. Jamie, her father whispered again, his voice breaking through the fog, I need you to listen. This isn't just about me anymore. The room quieted as they stood poised on the edge of a revelation. The bitterness and anger, the deep longing for connection, everything hung there, waiting for her next move. Would she choose to face this truth together, or would she let it shatter her completely? The weight of her decision loomed large over both of them. It was a heartbreaking threshold she must cross, the answers surging with possibilities. But could she find the strength to ask what lay behind those truths, and just how much they would alter the very fabric of their family? Jamie took a deep breath, feeling the tight knot of fear in her gut. What do you mean it isn't just about you? She asked, her heart thumping wildly in her chest. Because now, she needed to know. Her father shifted uncomfortably, his hands trembling as they found a place to rest against the chair. Jamie could see the weight of years pressing down on him. The silence thickened, a bittersweet blend of anticipation and fear hanging in the air. She concentrated on his face, hoping for any sign that he might grasp the truth his words held. "Jamie, it's about the family you don't know," he finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Each word felt raw, pulled from a painful place. "There are things that I kept from you, not just about me, but about your mother," he faltered as if the weight of her mother's name could crush them both. "Mom." Jamie breathed, a shockwave of confusion jolting through her. "What does she have to do with this?" "I never meant to keep her from you," he said quickly, urgency cracking through his calm. "But there are ties, connections to the life I thought I left behind. Secrets that could change everything." As he spoke, Jamie felt the room shifting again. Every heartbeat echoed against the high walls, and her children's laughter felt like a distant memory. She felt unmoored, and panic swirled inside her. What type of secrets? Why had nobody ever mentioned them before? "There are people who came into our lives, Jamie, people from her past," he continued, glancing toward the floor like it held the weight of the world. "People I never wanted you to meet because I thought it'd protect you from pain. But it only created more distance. Jamie exploded, her voice trembling with anger and hurt. "Did you think that was a solution? To just erase pieces of my life?" At that moment, the children's laughter turned to whispers, drawing nearer, their childish innocence stark against the unfolding family crisis. She could see their wide eyes stare up at her, filled with confusion. They were too young to grasp the shadow now looming over them. Her father's face twisted in regret, and Jamie's heart softened, just a bit. "I wanted to shield you from the chaos," he said, his voice low, "but now you deserve the truth. You need to understand your mother wasn't just a distant memory. She had a life that intertwined with other people, a life with joy, with pain, and with love." "Love?" Jamie echoed, her voice a fragile thread. "What are you saying? You mean there was more? More than just us?" "Yes." He almost shouted, the desperation cracking through. "You have family out there you don't even know about. People who loved your mother deeply. People who could offer you pieces of a life that might help you understand yours. But I thought it was better to keep you safe." Jamie felt her heart racing, a startling realization dawning on her as she considered everything he had withheld. How many others lived in the spaces of her story, waiting to be known? "I thought I was protecting you from the truth, Jamie. But in reality, I hurt you by keeping it. And now, it's time for us to face it together before it consumes us." Her breath hitched, wearing the weight of his confession. Though anger still buzzed in her veins, a flicker of curiosity sprung to life, a yearning to uncover the hidden pieces of her life. "But where do we start?" she asked, her voice suddenly quiet. "What does this even mean?" He took a long breath, his brows furrowing as he absorbed the enormity of their situation. "It means that we need to talk to those people. We need to find answers, not just for us but for your children." The thought sent a chill through her. It swept away the remnants of comfort she had clung to, unveiling a vast ocean of unknown possibilities. "And if I find them?" she whispered, the enormity of the request sinking in. "What if their truth is darker than what we've lived?" "In that case," he replied, eyes steady, "we'll face it together." Just as the room fell silent again, the door swung open, interrupting their painful tethering to the conversation. A woman stood there, breathless, a look of recognition in her eyes that sent a shiver down Jamie's spine. "Jamie?" she began hesitantly, and the recognition was instant. Who was this stranger at the cusp of her family chaos, bearing a truth Jamie hadn't thought to find? The air thickened with questions, the uncharted territory just beginning to ripple around them. Would this woman unravel another thread in the tapestry of her life? Or would she pull them deeper into the storm? For the first time, Jamie found herself wondering about the future. Would she embrace it, or push back against what was offered? Would she be ready for what awaited? The woman stepped inside, the door clicking shut behind her. A tangible tension filled the space, thick enough to cut through. Jamie's heart raced, each thump echoing her confusion. The stranger's face was familiar yet vague, like a dream just out of reach. "Do I know you?" Jamie asked, trying to untangle her emotions. There was an intimacy in the woman's gaze, as if they shared a history yet to be unveiled. "I'm Alice," the woman replied softly, her voice a melodic balm over the charged atmosphere. I was a friend of your mother's." The words hung there, each syllable striking a nerve deep inside Jamie. A friend? What kind of friend? Her mind chased images of her mother now distant and hazy like an old photograph, edges frayed. She pushed harder, focusing. She wanted more. "What did you mean by was? Is she dead?" A shadow crossed Alice's face. "Yes, I'm so sorry." Grief curled around Jamie like a thick fog. Her mother was gone, yet here stood someone who had known her. Had known the woman whose absence had created an aching void in her life. "You knew her," Jamie whispered, the words coming out like a plea. "You knew her better than I did." Alice stepped closer. "I did. We shared dreams and laughter. Everything seemed brighter when she was around." There was a light in Alice's eyes, a twinkling reminiscence that painted pictures Jamie had never seen. She felt a pang of jealousy mingle with sorrow. And then everything changed. "What do you mean?" Jamie asked, urgency palpable in her voice. "There are stories," Alice started, her voice trembling with emotion. "Stories that shaped who she was, the things she never got to share with you. Things that led her away from the life we dreamed." Suddenly, Jamie felt as if the ground beneath her was unsteady, shifting at any moment. "Why didn't my father tell me?" "He thought he was doing what was best for you," Alice replied, her eyes sincere, "but I think now he just wanted to protect you from confusion and pain." "But Jamie, understanding your mother's past might help you understand yourself." Pain mingled with hope, igniting a flicker of both fear and curiosity. Who was this woman, and what pieces of her mother did she carry? What truths did she hold that could change everything Jamie thought she understood about her family? "What do you know?" Jamie pressed, searching Alice's face for answers. "I know about the family you didn't know existed, a family connected to your mother's secrets. They've longed to meet you, to share the love they have for you, for your mother," Alice said, her voice softening. "This family, they loved her." Jamie's emotions teetered on the edge like a tightrope walker swaying in the wind. Love? Was there a part of her mother's life she'd never envisioned? "Yes," Alice replied firmly, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "But they also carry their own burdens, and coming together could bring both healing and heartbreak." Jamie's breath hitched. There was so much at stake. What if the truth was too painful? What if it tore apart everything she thought she had? Yet, deep down, there was a whisper of longing to belong, to know, to unravel the threads of her family's story. "Will you help me?" Jamie finally asked, the words escaping her lips almost as a prayer. Alice's eyes softened. "I will. But you must be ready for whatever comes next. There will be ups and downs on this journey." Each nod felt heavy, weighed down by the gravity of the decision. Jamie glanced at her father, who waited, his expression a mix of pride and fear. "Together, then," Jamie said quietly, her voice steadying with each word. "Let us find out what this means." As they stood there, a resolve formed in Jamie's heart, a determination to uncover the threads of her past and weave them into something meaningful. But just as hope flickered in her chest, uncertainty crept in. What if the journey brought more pain than understanding? What if the family she sought was more broken than whole? Before she could voice those fears, Alice's phone buzzed, pulling her away momentarily. "I'll need to arrange a meeting," she said, looking back at Jamie, eyes alight with possibility. "This is just the beginning." That promise lingered in the air, a fragile glimmer guiding them forward into uncharted waters. With each heartbeat, Jamie felt the tentative excitement rise. Would that meeting hold answers or deepen the mystery? Would Jamie finally find her place in this intricate tapestry of family, or would it unravel her entirely? In the silence that followed, the journey stretched infinitely ahead, waiting, looming, ready to reveal itself. Each second felt heavy with expectancy, and as Jamie faced this moment, she realized everything was about to change. Would she be brave enough to embrace it? Alice's gaze shifted momentarily to her phone, and the world around Jamie seemed to pause, free-falling into a suspended breath. The ticking clock on the wall faded away, its steady rhythm no longer a reminder of reality but a pulse of anticipation. "I think we should meet them tomorrow," Alice proposed, her voice steady despite the tremor of excitement lacing through it. "It will give you time to prepare." "Prepare for what?" Jamie's heart quickened at the thought of an actual meeting. The ambiguity of the family Alice spoke of wrapped around her like a heavy cloak. "Just everything." Alice hesitated, her eyes darting away briefly as if searching for the right words in the silence. "It might be a lot to take in." Jamie took a deep breath. "I think I'm ready." "No, I know I'm ready. There's no turning back now." Each word rang clear and determined, flickering with the light of newfound courage. But the flutter in her stomach gave away her doubt. She was diving into unknown waters, and uncertainty pooled beneath her like a shadow. Okay, Alice said, nodding slowly. "I will arrange everything. Just remember," she added, a hint of caution lining her tone, "sometimes the answers we seek can stir up more questions than we expect." Jamie swallowed hard. "Are you saying this might hurt?" "Possibly," Alice replied softly but assuredly. "But understanding often requires facing both the joyous and painful parts of our lives." The words echoed in Jamie's mind. She thought of her mother, the woman she had spent her life longing to know, and the pieces of her past that might unravel in unexpected ways. Was she ready to face these pieces, regardless of how jagged or beautiful they might be? Quietly, she asked, "What if I don't like what I find?" "If you don't," Alice said, "you will still be you. These stories, they don't change who you are today. They are just shadows of what came before. But what if those shadows consume me? Then you learn to walk in the light. Remember, it's okay to be afraid. Just don't let fear make choices for you." A beat of silence grew between them, filled with Jamie's swirling thoughts. The flicker of possibility glinted in her chest, urging her forward. "I understand," she finally said, meeting Alice's eyes with newfound determination. "Let us do this." The resolve in her voice changed the atmosphere, the tension dissipating just enough to let hope seep in through the cracks. As they discussed potential times for the meeting, Jamie's father, who had remained silent through most of their conversation, finally spoke up, his voice gentle yet firm. "I'll support you, Jamie. Just remember, no matter what you find, I'll always be here for you." His words wrapped around her like a protective banner, a reminder that love still bridged the gaps left behind. In that moment of connection, Jamie exhaled a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. With both Alice and her father standing beside her, the weight of the journey ahead felt a little lighter. Hours passed, and soon it was time for Alice to leave, but the air buzzed with electricity from their conversation. Just before she exited, she turned back to Jamie, a smile gracing her lips, one that held promises of both relief and revelation. "We'll meet tomorrow, Jamie. You'll see it will be worth it." As the door clicked shut behind her, Jamie felt a strange mixture of emotions swell within her, excitement and fear intermingling like fire and wind. What awaited her on the other side of this family? Would they fill the void, or would they bring more darkness? Her heart raced as she picked up her phone, scrolling through old photos of her mother, searching for answers in frozen moments. Would she discover beauty in the shadows, or would the truth sting deeper than the wounds she already carried? Tomorrow, she would find out. But as uncertainty bobbed within her like an unexploded firework, Jamie couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing at the edge of something monumental. Would she face the music, or would she step away from the stage? Morning light spilled through Jamie's window, its golden rays piercing the remnants of last night's trepidation. The sun rose, and so did her resolve. She sat up, inhaling deeply, the weight of the day ahead settling in her chest. There was no turning back now. Today would reshape her. She glanced at her phone, the screen flickering with notifications, but her thoughts swam elsewhere. Could she ready her heart for the encounter? Her fingers traced the edge of her wooden nightstand, grounding her in familiar comfort, pulling her toward the thoughts of family, the one she had only imagined but never truly known. Jamie. Her father called from downstairs, his voice warm and inviting. Breakfast is ready. A smile tugged at her lips as she made her way down, the familiar smell of pancakes wafting through the air. As she entered the kitchen, a sense of normalcy surrounded her, a stark contrast to the uncertainty gnawing at her. She found her father at the stove, flipping pancakes with practiced ease, humming a tune she half remembered from childhood. Feeling nervous? He asked as he turned, flipping a pancake like it was second nature. Maybe a little, she replied, her voice softer than she intended, but it carried the weight she didn't want to hide. What if I don't fit in? What if the words caught in her throat? Hey, he said, pausing to lay a hand on her shoulder. No matter what, you're still you. These people, they're part of your story, but they don't define you. His reassurance washed over her like warm light, but the lingering questions sat stubbornly in the edges of her mind. What if, they're nothing like I imagined? Then they won't matter, he replied, pulling her into a brief embrace. You'll still have your heart, and you'll still have me. Jamie nodded, her heart flickering between fear and gratitude. The pancakes had transformed into a comfort zone, and the chatter of breakfast moments wrapped her in a cocoon of familiarity. Yet, every bite reminded her of the family she was seeking, the mother she had never known, the siblings she hadn't ever met. After breakfast, she and her father organized their plans for the day. A sense of urgency pushed them, time was slipping through their fingers like sand. Just keep an open heart, her father urged as they prepared to leave home. You might be surprised at what you discover. They drove to the cafe Alice had chosen, her father's reassuring presence beside her steadying as the world sped by outside the window. The city felt alive today, colors vibrant, sounds amplified. But as they parked, anxiety took hold once more. What if they don't want me? Jamie's voice trembled, vulnerability creasing her brow. Her father took her hand, holding it between his two. Then you walk away knowing you tried. That's all we can do in life. Take a leap, hold on, and see what happens. With butterflies flitting in her stomach, Jamie pushed the door open and stepped into the cafe. The mingling scents of coffee and pastries welcomed her like an embrace. She spotted Alice, nervously fidgeting at a table, her eyes bright with anticipation. Here we go, Jamie whispered, taking a deep breath. As she approached, the anticipation crackled in the air like electricity. Would this be the moment that shifted everything? Jamie's heart thundered in her chest as she reached the table, the realness of the situation washing over her. Hi, Alice, she managed, her voice steady, though her insides churned, but just as she settled, the door swung open, and in walked figures that would unravel the carefully sewn threads of her life. The moment felt suspended in time, everything around her fading away, leaving only the faces before her, stretching their smiles into uncharted futures. What awaited her behind those smiles? Would it illuminate her path or plunge her deeper into shadows? The stage was set, and the music began to play. Time seemed to hang in the air as Jamie's eyes locked onto the newcomers. There they stood, a couple in their late 40s, vibrant and full of life, radiating warmth like sunshine through the cafe window. Curiosity mingled with apprehension as a woman with dark curls and bright eyes stepped forward. Jamie. We're so glad to meet you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Jamie could only nod, still trying to process the whirlwind around her. Her father gripped her hand tighter, offering silent strength. This was at the moment she had longed for and dreaded all at once. I'm Nora, and this is my husband, Mark, the woman continued, her smile unwavering. Your mother was my sister. We've waited so long to meet you. The name resonated in Jamie's heart like a distant melody. sister. The loose ends of her story began to weave together. She felt a swell of emotion deep inside her as memories of her mother flooded back, echoes of laughter, a soft touch on her cheek. If only she had had the chance to know them. Your mother loved you so much, Mark added, his eyes glistening with sincerity. She talked of you all the time. You too were her light. Tears stung at Jamie's eyes as she heard those words. A lifetime of absence began to dissolve. For the first time, she felt a real connection to her mother's love, something tangible that flowed through her. What happened? Jamie asked, the question tumbling out, raw and unfiltered. Why did I never hear about you? Nora exchanged a glance with Mark, both sharing a quiet understanding before she answered. Things were complicated. Your mother, she tried to shield you from the chaos in her life, just like your father did. Our family had disagreements, and she felt it was best for you not to grow up knowing us in that turbulence. A heavy silence settled as Jamie took in their words. All her questions rolled like clouds in a storm: anxiety, confusion, hope. And now? She asked, voice trembling. Why reach out now? Because we want to get to know you, Nora replied, her voice steady. You're a part of us, Jamie. And we're here for you, ready to share love and stories. As Jamie absorbed the promise of connection, she felt the walls in her heart start to crack, allowing in light and warmth. She glanced back at her father, who stood quietly, his eyes alive with emotion. He nodded, signaling his support. This was an opportunity to forge a new relationship, to embrace the family she had longed for. Would you want to spend some time with us? Mark asked, a kindness lighting his gaze. We've planned a family gathering, something small but intimate. It would mean the world to us if you'd join. Jamie's breath caught in her throat, her heart racing with every word they spoke. The idea of joining these new family members both thrilled and terrified her. Would they truly understand her? Could they help fill the void that had loomed over her life? Yes, she finally managed, the uncertainty in her voice waning as her courage swelled. I'd love that. I want to know you both. Wonderful. Nora exclaimed, her face brightening like sunshine breaking through clouds. We'll make sure it's special. As the conversation flowed and laughter echoed around the cafe, Jamie suddenly felt something shift, a sense of belonging she hadn't known she was searching for. She could feel fragments of her past stitching into a cohesive fabric, each thread bringing her closer to understanding her mother and, ultimately, herself. When the time came to part ways, Jamie hugged them both tightly, her heart full of gratitude. Thank you for being here, she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. As she waved goodbye, her father wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pressing a tender kiss to the top of her head. You did so well, Jamie. I'm proud of you. In that moment, as they walked through the bustling streets, Jamie felt the weight of years lift away, leaving a lightness she hadn't anticipated. For the first time, the future brimmed with possibility. Holding back a wave of fresh hope, she turned to her father. I think I can forgive him. I'm ready to embrace our story now. Yes, he replied, a proud smile on his face. Together, we're healing. As they headed home, the flickering excitement blossomed in Jamie's heart, a promise of new beginnings, of joy intertwined with pain, transforming her family narrative forever. The path ahead, once shrouded in uncertainty, now glimmered bright with uncharted love. This is the moment to embrace the changes and connect with the world around you, just as Jamie did. If you love this story and want to hear more incredible transformations, you need to subscribe now. Leave a like to show your support and help this journey reach others. Drop a comment about your feelings on this heartwarming conclusion. Don't wait not even one more second to share this powerful message with at least 5 friends who need a spark of hope in their lives. Let them discover the beauty of connection and healing just like Jamie.